Hello and welcome to the Angry Microwave. I'm Brad. With me, as always, is Callum. And Callum, that is how you have a panel. That is how you do an investors conference call. And that is how you make announcements. In my opinion, I fully enjoyed that. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to... Well, first of all, Callum, how are you doing? Are you well?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, that Disney event was ridiculous. Like when we first saw it, it was 4 hours. We were like, actually, first of all, I thought it was just going to be like an investor's phone call. I didn't realize it was going to have slick production like it did.
Yeah.
But then for it to be 4 hours long and for it not to feel like that, I remember us going, God, there's 2 hours left. How are they going to fill this? And
Yeah.
that 2 hours just went so quickly. It seems like it was like 10 minutes with the amount of stuff they were doing. There
It
was no
was...
there was no dead space. There wasn't even substantial breaks. There was one 10-minute break, and that was it.
It was very smooth, very well run. And I think you have all the awkwardness of having something live and the stale nature of these really awkward Q&As and having a host of panels. All of that was taken away. Like you said, it was slick. It looked like it was shot on the volume that they shoot Star Wars. Was it Mandalorian? Christ, I forgot his name then. I'm still hyped from all the announcements. I've got too much Star Wars in my brain. What we're going to do today is we're going to break down briefly, give a quick overview of all the announcements and giving our quick thoughts on that. Now, we're going through everything that's being released. Is it next year, or are we just going through all the announcements in
We're just
total?
going to go through all the announcements, and then in the next few weeks, we're going to have videos coming, which will break down what's coming to Disney Plus specifically in 2021.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So do you want to kick off Disney Television Studios for Disney Plus?
Let's do it. Disney TV Studios, what are they bringing us, Callum?
Beauty and the Beast, the Luke Evans and Josh Gad spin-off series. I'm on board for this. It's going to be great. I think they were the best thing about Beauty and the Beast. I wasn't a fan of the rest of the film, but those two smashing it. And also Alan Menken's coming back to produce some songs. So that is going to be beautiful.
I think everything they could have done with Beauty and the Beast, any side calls, sequels, prequels, well, not sequels, obviously, spoiler alert. But having a TV show with these two characters, I'm fully on board with. As you say, I'm looking forward to that one.
Then we've got Swiss Family Robinson. Okay.
Don't care.
And Percy Jackson. Okay.
Percy Jackson is something that I'm not particularly dying to watch. It's not something that I'm going to be waiting to watch on Disney Plus, but I know it's got quite a big audience, so I think it's going to make quite a few people happy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
And then currently, all this stuff's coming in 2021. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. No, never been into it.
No, that's something that, again, the first thing you said when we were watching the conference call was this just looks like a Cobra Kai, but for the Mighty Ducks. I think that's what it is. I'm not interested in that.
Turner and Hooch, and somehow Josh Peck from Drake and Josh is in this. Yeah, it very much seems a straight to video kind of situation. Well, I suppose it kind of is straight to video. A lot of this stuff is going to be like that. We've also got Big Shot, which is a basketball thing. And then the Mysterious Benedict Society, which is based on a book. But that's got Tony Hale in, so maybe good. I'm a big fan of Arrested Development, so I'm excited to see what he does in that.
So am I, but I don't think that's enough for me to be on board with. And one thing to come out of this, out of the conference call, is that we're going to have a lot to watch next year onwards on Disney Plus. So if we seem a bit down on the few TV programs, it's just because we've got 1,000 other things on Disney Plus to be watching.
Yeah, we haven't even got to Marvel and Star Wars yet. So next up, we've got National Geographic. We've got a series with Chris Hemsworth. Sure, that'll be fine. And then there's also...
That's shot by Darren Aronofsky, though, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm most interested in, because watching Chris Hemsworth get even fitter and more athletic is not something that particularly interests me, because he's not exactly a chubby guy himself. But I'm interested to see what Darren Aronofsky does with that project.
And then we've got Will Smith with an anthology series called Welcome to Earth. And then there's another anthology series called Genius, which will profile Martin Luther King. I'm sure all this stuff will be fine. I ended up watching the Jeff Goldblum series that debuted as part of National Geographic on Disney Plus, and that was great. So I feel like that's the kind of stuff where it's kind of like throwaway, but good kind of throwaway stuff where you just stick it on, watch an hour about Jeff Goldblum making ice cream, and then just carry on with your life. And yeah, but there's also some Hulu stuff, which is becoming Star stuff. I think the biggest thing about this was the Alien series that was announced. Like
Very
that
much looking
seems.
forward to getting back into this universe in the TV series. Very much.
Um, yeah, like I'm sure we'll come on about this in another video, but I'm just really glad that Disney now are using Fox properties to push their service,
Yeah.
because I feel like a year or two ago it's very much kind of like, are they going to use Fox properties, or are we just going to let them go by the wayside? And they seem to smartly kind of integrated it through the streaming services, and that gets me very excited because Alien will always have a special place in my heart, because Prometheus is a good film, and I will
Yeah. Prometheus
die
is
on
a
that
great
sword.
film. The rest, not particularly interested in, but Prometheus I really liked. But I am looking forward to getting a series to stuck into. Very much so.
I'll probably skip through the rest of the stuff. It's a bit like it's like Kardashians and like stuff that we're not particularly.
But that's what our audience wants us to talk about, Cal.
American Horror Stories, which is an anthology of an anthology series. Don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on there, but I'll take it. I was hoping for an American crime series to come back, but looks like there is not on this slate. But then who knows? There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been announced here that will end up being in production anyway.
Yeah.
The Handmaid's Tale. Never thought I'd see a Handmaid's Tale announcement in a Disney investor conference. That is weird, but okay.
So again, that TV show is not. Although I don't know if it's slowing down or not in terms of the viewership, but they really hammed home just how well that show was doing for. Was it a Hulu original? Just how well that show is doing. So that's clearly something they're proud of and something they're going to continue to make. But again, I kind of fell off that show early season 2 because it's too depressing for me.
So yeah, and also FX, which I've kind of linked in with Hulu, because for us it will come on the Star. FX and Hulu, I believe, comes on the Star for us.
It's getting so messy now. Like,
oh, and also there was confirmation the other day that Star is coming to the UK.
oh, so that's confirmed.
Yeah, we were not sure on this. Weirdly, out of all places, I saw it on LinkedIn that one of the Disney VPs were talking about it, that it was going to come on there. So
right.
That is because they were saying broadly Europe, and that is quite a touchy subject in the UK, whether we are part of the Europe region or the Europe continent. So we are definitely getting Star. Another series of Sunny in Philadelphia. I've never really been into that show, but
didn't they announce another 3 or 4 seasons of that though, to really push it into being the
another 4 additional seasons, which will make it the longest running live action sitcom in television history.
Yep. I loved the last season. I think it's actually one of the strongest. So I'm looking forward to that. Give me more of that. I know they make it relatively quickly and on the cheap, which is part of the charm of the show. So it doesn't surprise me that something that's got that large a viewership that doesn't cost that much to make would be commissioned for as long as possible.
Yeah, like another 4 series is a mad order. Like when stuff like Brooklyn Nine-Nine's fighting for each season, and we just give Sunny in Philadelphia 4. It's kind of mad. But yeah, so now we come on to one of the big ones. We'll have a specific video coming up talking about Star Wars in the next few years. But let's just very quickly run through all the Lucasfilm content that was announced. We've got an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which you would think in itself would be a big announcement, but then they shadowed that by saying that Hayden Christensen's going to come back and play Darth Vader, which I don't think anyone was really expecting that announcement to be in there.
I don't think anyone was expecting it to be in there. I'm thrilled that he's coming back. I think that's got a lot of people buzzed about it. One thing I will say is that just in the presentation itself, Kathleen Kennedy did not really seem to be fully immersed into what she was doing. Now, she's been through a real tough time with both box office performance for Lucasfilm and audience reception. I know we're going to do a bigger video on this, but that's kind of sad to see for myself. But Hayden Christensen, yes, please bring him back.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that he was announced for Obi-Wan. I thought that would have been a kind of like Ahsoka thing. I thought we would actually, but then I'm always confused with Mandalorian set. I probably should say it was on the internet, but yeah. So that'd be quite interesting. Like, I kind of thought he would have shown up as a Force ghost in Ahsoka, but clearly not. I don't know. Maybe they were teasing that it's all going to come to a climactic cinematic event, all these series, which is really interesting.
Yes.
Like, it seems like they're going to try and create an end game situation where all this stuff will feed in to a big film, and that's going to be really exciting to see that unfold over the next few years.
3 series that are the 3 shows that are going to have that that lead into one event is Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the third one is, I can't remember the name of it because there's so many.
Is that the Rangers of the New Republic?
Yes, I believe it's that one. So yeah, like you said, they're all going to come together in one cinematic or TV show event, which I'm looking forward to. But I really hope that it doesn't take away from what The Mandalorian is doing, because I'm in love with that show.
I mean, the Mando's kind of been the savior of Star Wars in some way. Because don't forget, it was only a year ago when Disney and Bob Iger and they were all saying that they'd oversaturated the market with Star Wars stuff. And then here we are a year later, where they're like 10 series, take it. It's such a pivot, like from their standpoint a year ago. And I do think it all hinges on how well how well the Mandalorian did.
Yep.
Because none of this was really in production until the past 6 months, and they were clearly trying to see what the reaction to the Mandalorian was. Because if they were fully confident, they would have had all these in a line for the first 2 years of Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's only now that they're starting to ramp up all the engines and get everything moving again. So
one thing I will say is that when they started announcing when they announced 10 new TV shows on Disney Plus, just coming from the Star Wars universe, I automatically assumed that would mean that we wouldn't get movies coming from Star Wars, either in cinemas or on Disney Plus. We're getting some movies, and we're getting movies that I couldn't care less about.
Well, the movie situation is really weird because Rian Johnson's trilogy is clearly dead in the water.
Yeah, 100%.
So that is now dead. And also what's dead that I haven't seen many people talk about, probably because it was kind of speculated a few months back, is the Game of Thrones season. The Game of Thrones directors that were meant to be coming over and doing a Star Wars project.
Of course. Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why they finished Game of Thrones so hastily. And now it seems like they've just kind of burnt all their bridges by basically messing up the final season of Game of Thrones. And now they've lost the Star Wars the Star Wars film because of that. That's just kind of fast. I really hope one day that there's a book written about all the behind the scenes stuff that's gone on at Star Wars, because there's there must be so many stories that we don't know about that have gone down between Colin Trevorrow's script about Duel of the Fates and obviously Lord and Miller coming off Solo. I really want to see those kind of stories that are told in a decade or 2 decades time, because there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes that would be so interesting. But yeah,
and that's one thing that I think's gone under the radar with this investors call conference, whatever it's called. I don't know. But Kathleen Kennedy, really, by announcing these TV shows and these films, essentially confirmed that that's 2 more sets of filmmakers for projects that she had hired that aren't going to fulfill their projects, in Rian Johnson and Wise and Benioff, like you said. So that officially confirms that's 2 more creators. And I wonder, out of all the Star Wars projects that were released and that were announced, how many would actually follow through with what we're going to get.
Well, I mean, Obi-Wan and the Rogue One prequel, that should be set in stone. He says famously.
Well, that should have been filmed this year, but it got postponed because of the pandemic, right?
So Obi-Wan was apparently delayed because of script issues. That was meant to be filming, I think, in February or March time this year, just gone. Obviously, that would have been cancelled, but they delayed that before that even happened because of script issues.
Right.
And it's just kind of fascinating to see everything unfold. But yeah, anyway, we will do a Star Wars video because there's so much to delve into this. But also, other stuff announced. We got the Andor series, which we knew was happening. That's filming at the moment in London. I think it's London and Boston for some reason. Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which we knew was already coming from Disney Animation Studios. That'll be the next Clone Wars Rebels, then The Bad Batch. Dave Filoni's going to be heading that up.
That looks like an interesting animated series. That kind of grabbed my attention of what we saw from that.
Yeah, the animation style seems to be quite a departure as well from Rebels, which is quite interesting to see. Mm-hmm. Star Wars Visions, which is kind of like their anime series, I think. I also think that's coming out in 2021, so that'd be quite interesting. I think that'd be one of the few Star Wars things that we'll get next year. So, Lando, which weirdly, we don't know if it's live action. We don't know who's going to be Lando in this. I saw a great tweet talking about how it could be Billy D. Williams and Donald Glover both in the same series, and they switch perspectives. I would be totally on board for that. That'd
be fascinating. But again, with we're going to do a whole video on this, but with Lucasfilm, is it just a case of they've announced the show, but they just haven't spoken or got confirmation from the actors about it? Like, what is going on?
It's mad. We've got the Acolyte, which is a spy thriller film. series set in the Star Wars universe. And a droid story, which is kind of like a nice little C3PO RT. I'm really glad to see a droid story because that's like the most family. A lot of all this Star Wars content that's being announced is quite heavy and quite serious, but a droid story should be kind of like hitting that prequel kind of tone, but in a good way. It should be a lot more lighthearted and introduce a lot of young people to the Star Wars universe. So I was really pleased to see that. And yeah, I think I'm going back to the Andor really quickly. I think that's like a 10 or 12 part series. It's quite a chunky thing, and that's going to be quite exciting to see this. I also really hope that they delve from a 30-minute average mark to a lot longer episodes.
Yeah, they need to. They need to.
But we will see. Mandalorian kind of works like that because it works like a Saturday morning cartoon in that he has his quest and goes on. I'm hoping to see a lot more kind of like fully story kind of like narrative throughout the whole season kind of stuff come from Star Wars. But I mean, yeah, this video is going to be so long, so I'll move on. We've also got Willow coming with Warwick Davis.
I don't know. I would love to speak to the one person who asked for that. I would love to speak to the one person who said, we need a Willow movie, please.
And then possibly some of the biggest news to do with the films of Star Wars, heading back to the Star Wars, which we kind of touched on. Patty Jenkins is doing a Rogue Squadron movie, which I did not see coming. I didn't see that speculated anywhere. That is really exciting. At least she's not sticking with Warner Brothers because I feel like that relationship isn't great at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be happening, and also Taika Waititi is going to be doing what seems like a Guardians / Ragnarok-esque on the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Now I'm fascinated. We'll go into more information on this on our Star Wars episode, but I'm curious as to see what the reaction of people. I'm curious to see what the reaction is going to be to Taika Waititi doing that, because Star Wars fans are precious about the Star Wars that they love, and if it deviates from what we saw with Rian Johnson, that was 2% different in style from what we've seen in Star Wars before, and people didn't accept it and they didn't like it. So I'm fascinated to see what people would do if they try to bring a Taika Waititi take to the Star Wars universe. I'm absolutely fascinated.
Yeah, the only thing I can hope for this is that by the time this film comes out, this film isn't even dated at the moment. So I presume it'll be 2025 this comes out, because they seem to be keeping 2 years in between films.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it will be 2025 because I think it goes Star Wars film and Avatar film and Star Wars film throughout the 2020s because, Disney.
Fascinatingly enough, we didn't get any news from Avatar in this conference call.
Yeah, so I also thought that, and then a lot of it seems to be stuff that's going to be in production. Obviously, Avatar is wrapped or nearly wrapped, so they didn't seem to talk about anything.
Is it? Who knows?
So they didn't really talk about anything that's already wrapped. So we also didn't see any announcements from Monsters at Work, which is the Monsters Inc. the Monsters Inc. Animation series that's coming to Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I just presume they're not talking about anything like that. There's also Home Alone, which is already wrapped production. The reboot with the kid from Jojo Rabbit.
Who asked for that? Who's?
But yeah, so and now let's move on to Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures production. That's a mouthful to say.
It is.
We've got Hocus Pocus 2. Okay. A lot of these films are literally like the straight-to-video spiritual thing. We've got Three Men and a Baby featuring Zac Efron. Okay.
I feel like Walt Disney's Motion Picture Studios, or whatever it is, that whole part of the conference call was aiming towards mums.
Literally, yeah.
And our mums, like our mums' age. Because nothing in this really feels original or new or desired in any way.
I feel like all of these could be an Onion article as well.
Yeah.
They very much seem like Three Men and a Baby featuring Zac Efron. You can imagine the Onion picture for that. But also we're getting a Cheaper by the Dozen reimagining, and also we're getting a new Sister Act movie apparently, because why not? We've got IPs to use.
None of that interests me, I'm afraid. Like, I'm not interested in seeing any of the remakes or sequels that are coming out because I think it's too late. I'm not interested. Give me something original, but alas.
We've got there's not many original things in these announcements. They're very much cashing in on the IPs, as we will come to with Pixar, because there's a big one in that we need to address at some point. But also coming from Walt Disney Studios, we've got Pinocchio with Zemeckis, who you can't really trust to make a movie anymore. It'll definitely be interesting, but it's never a sure guaranteed hit with Zemeckis anymore. But Tom Hanks will be in that as well.
didn't Zemeckis make Polar Express? Because what he made my eyes go through during that movie, if that was
Leave the Polar Express alone, especially in December. Like
whoa,
the,
are you a Polar Express defender?
the Polar Express is a brilliant film. It's one of the ultimate Christmas films. I'm not going to take this discussion anywhere else because I will just edit this out. I will not have a bad word spoken about the Polar Express. Although, yeah, CG is a bit ropey, but let's not talk about that. We're getting a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers with John Mulaney and Andy Samberg, directed by Akiva from Lonely Island. So this is very exciting for me. I don't care about the IP, but getting John Mulaney and Andy Samberg on a voice cast together, that film is gonna, yeah, it's gonna be great.
The film is going to feature Seth Rogen as well. So those three voice actors lending their voices to this project. Personally, a film that if you just showed me the fact on a piece of paper that we're going to get a Chip and Dale movie, I wouldn't have cared. Now I'm invested. I want to watch it. I'm excited.
The thing is, the voice cast alone is great, but the fact that the creative team behind it is the same one that made Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping, I'm on board.
One of the greatest comedies of all time.
The greatest comedy of all time. I will correct you there. We're also getting a Peter Pan and Wendy film.
Couldn't care less. Move on.
I couldn't care less until I remind you that Jude Law is going to go and play Captain Hook now.
Love Jude Law. Still couldn't care less.
Okay, let's move on. Disenchanted, a sequel to the film Enchanted.
Never seen it.
Okay, never seen it too. Then we're getting loads of sports documentaries. Don't really care.
Well, they're hot right now, aren't they? Sports documentaries.
Yeah.
I know you're a big fan of the sports, but so I'll dumb this down for you. But no, sports documentaries are hot right now, and it doesn't surprise me at all, especially because I've got access. Well, I don't have access; they own ESPN. It's not surprising that we're gonna see more and more sports documentaries coming forward, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll come straight to Disney Plus or ESPN or via Star. Like, we don't know where that's going to hit in the UK yet, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ice Age is returning again. This is really exciting to see Fox properties being used. Some reason Simon Pegg's bringing his character back from one of the films. Okay. We're getting Diary of a Wimpy Kid, an animated film version of that. Again, not our demographic, but I'm sure those films are going to hit their target markets.
Yeah.
And also an animated version of Night at the Museum, which is very interesting to see.
So during the live call, when they said Night at the Museum, I said, really? Are we going to get another one? Then when they said animated, we were both like, okay, I think that's probably the right way to take it, because what we've seen going from Star Wars to Disney, and then we're going to go to Pixar, they really are, disappeared for a second there, they really are targeting all demographics, the sports demographic, children, adults, young adults. They really are targeting everyone, and I think that's why the stock prices after this this conference call really shot up, is because they really are targeting every demographic possible.
Yeah. For following that, we moved on to, actually no, we had some previews from Jungle Cruise, Cruella, The Lion King prequel. Okay, that is
separate movies, by the way. Just the way they come across, that was like one movie.
And for Little Mermaid, obviously, which, okay, can we just talk about how Lin-Manuel Miranda's getting a huge paycheck from Disney? It was basically just saying how much money they're going to give him over the next 4 years.
Yeah, he's involved in everything musical, wasn't he?
I think everyone wants him on board on their project at the moment. And also Aquafina also got a lot of casting news in this. Yeah. Just popping up in every other film. Which is great to see, because they're both very good at what they do. So that is quite exciting news. Moving on to Walt Disney Animation Studios. Who would have thought they had this many studios at this point? The list is massive. So Raya and the Last Dragon will be debuting on Premiere Access and in theaters. I can't get my head around this. Surely Soul would have been the film to have done a Premiere Access with. That would have been the film to have made me pay. I just don't understand how they're picking up these films. Because I don't understand why this wasn't the free one at Christmas, and then Soul was the pay-per-view in March. I just don't really understand.
I don't personally understand the business model myself. I do find it fascinating that they said that Mulan was going to be a one and done in terms of Premiere Access, and in this conference call they were like, "Nah, joking." But I didn't know this. But that movie, the animated movie that's going to be on Premium Access and in cinemas same day, was the first animated movie to be made entirely from people's homes. Is that the film that they were talking about?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that, which is
Yeah,
quite exciting.
so I'm fascinated to see how that looks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably wait until it comes on free because I'm just not that
Yeah,
excited about it. But it's quite interesting to see. I think cinemas are kind of like doing this a lot more now. So Mulan was kind of an either or situation. It was either PVOD or it was or it was not coming to cinemas. They
yeah,
seem to be kind of like coming to a middle ground. Like we've seen this with Wonder Woman.
hmm
Wonder Woman in the UK, actually in the UK is a bit of a weird situation, but in the US it'll be in cinemas and on PVOD, oh no, on HBO Max on the same day. So that is free.
yeah,
Um, cinema seem to be kind of coming round to the idea a lot. Like if you look at what they did a year ago, or even in March, where they were like, under no way but will we show day in day out, day in day. They've had to change their standpoints now
yeah.
because of the HBO Max announcement
hmm
and all these Disney stuff that's going to happen too. I would not be surprised if we see Black Widow doing the same thing. I don't think
Yeah,
it'll be free on Disney Plus. I think it'll be a PVOD or in cinema situation. But I presume they'll see how it goes in March and then kind of base the numbers off of that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, we've also got Encanto, which basically looks like Coco, but with
yeah.
Lin Manuel
It looks
Miranda doing the
exactly
thing.
like Coco, doesn't it?
Like the logo looked the same, the color scheme looked the same. So I loved Coco. I'll be interested to see how they go around it slightly differently.
hmm
Also, we're getting loads of series from Disney Animation Studios, which I'm really excited about. We're getting Baymax. I love Big Hero 6. I'm excited
Yeah.
to see that. Zootopia Plus. Um, will that be called Zootropolis Plus in the UK? I wonder, seeing as they have regional titles still. Tia, which is the frog, Princess and the Frog kind of like spin-off thing,
hmm
which is quite interesting. That Splash Mountain's getting a re-theme at Disney World, and that makes a lot more sense now that they're going to be reusing the IP.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting like a lot of context of certain things they're doing in the theme parks, which is another whole niche subject. But as somebody who was quite interested in the theme park kind of like world, I think with Moana is going to be getting like experience at Epcot. So that's quite interesting to see that they're going to be doing a Moana series as well. Yeah, that is everything. And now onto Pixar animation.
I'm just going to quickly step in here and say you're doing a really good job of speeding through these. I think you're doing a great job. You're condensing 4 hours into as quick a time as possible because they certainly released quite a lot, didn't they?
Feel free to interrupt at any point. I'm just trying to get through this list because we haven't even reached Marvel yet, and
No.
Marvel's the biggest one out of all these sections.
Yeah.
So in terms of Pixar, we're getting a film called Turning Red, which does not look like a Pixar film. It looks like a cheap animation, to be totally honest. I hope that changes.
Yeah.
We will see.
But that was just a preview, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure when that's coming out. It's not on my list of what it's. I think it's 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
We're getting Win or Lose, Pixar's first ever long form animated series in February 2023. So that's quite a long way off. But seeing a long form Pixar series will be kind of fascinating to see how they tell a longer story throughout a series of substantial length.
But we'll talk about this in a second, I'm sure. But I just hope that a lot of these animated series that are coming to Disney Plus aren't going to be the 2-3 minute shorts that we got with Toy Story last year, because we need more than 2-3 minute clips, because that's not a TV series.
Yeah, I always feel a bit mugged off when streaming services do this. So we've recently seen they announced a Pixar documentary series on Disney Plus, and I was like, oh shit, I love that. Like the Imagineering series was, I think,
Incredible.
worth alone the price of my Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah.
And I was hoping it was going to be in the same vein. I logged in, it was like 5 minute an episode, and I was like,
Yeah.
These are basically bonus features on a Blu-ray kind of length. Like
Yeah.
I want to see feature length documentaries. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of that kind of stuff and more substantial length series. And so Turning Red's coming out in 2022. And then for possibly the biggest and most potential Onion article, Lightyear, which is not a Toy Story film. It's a film about the person that Buzz Lightyear is based on. That seems to be stretching in terms of IP, do you not think?
Wait, is that what it's about?
Yeah. It's not about Buzz Lightyear. It's about the person that the toy is based on.
I did not. That is not what I got from that panel. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
But that also makes sense how they can get away with recasting racist.
Allen.
I mean, Tim Allen.
Yeah, so that's basically how they're doing that. It just seems such a leap, and I don't really know if anyone's there asking for this film at all. I feel like I would have preferred a Toy Story spin-off film. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many characters you could have spun that off and had a film in the vein of Toy Story.
Hmm.
This tonally is going to be weird. It's going to be like a sci-fi film. It's animated, but Buzz Lightyear looks like a human, and it's like I'm not sure about this film.
No.
This film could be very hit or miss, but this is also coming out in 2022, so we haven't got a long time to wait for this. I have to keep reminding myself that 2022 is only 13 months away, really, in terms of
It's
the year
crazy.
starting. And
Crazy.
so yeah, we're also getting a film called Luca, which comes out next summer. I'm not that interested about this film. I think Pixar are at their best when they don't do human stories.
Hmm.
When they, apart from Inside Out, but even Inside Out isn't about the human story really. It's about the emotional characters.
Yeah.
So I'm not super excited. That comes out June 2021. There's a lot of films that are announced, especially in this animation kind of world of Disney, that are coming out very soon that we had no idea about.
Yeah. Well, that's only 6 months away, isn't it? Which is
Yeah.
weird to think that we're 6 months away from actually getting a new slate of films.
I'm also surprised they're announcing dates on this, given that the whole pandemic situ is not over yet, and we're not sure when things are going to go back to normal. But
They never will.
the only reason why I think that they may be announcing it now is so they can get awareness of the film coming out and saying it's going to be a cinema film, and
Right.
then they can pivot for it to be on Disney Plus, and it will seem like it wasn't a straight Disney Plus film.
Right. Okay.
To kind of give it a bit more weight and value. That's the only reason why I could see them announcing this kind of stuff in this way. But also, we're getting an Up spin-off called Dug Days. We don't know how long these episodes are going to be. But that little short clip they showed of it with the little puppies, I thought was brilliant. And I hope.
Oh, that was really funny. Looks cute, kind of thing that kids would enjoy, and I could probably chuck on when I'm eating my breakfast. So why wouldn't I be up for watching that?
And then next up, we're getting a series based on Lightning McQueen, which I thought the Cars films were dead. They never made a huge amount of money,
Mhm.
and as far as I can understand, the only reason why they were ever really made was because of John Lasseter. Now
Yeah.
John Lasseter has been taken out. We rightfully so. I'm kind of surprised that they're continuing with the IP of Cars.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Really surprised because I'm surprised that we're getting so many TV series from the animation studios because they're not cheap to make. They're expensive to make, and they're expensive to make if people don't watch them. So I'm really surprised that a property like Cars is something they're going with. But like you said, they really are either flexing their muscle or just running all their IPs into the ground, because it seems like every IP they've got, they're doing something with.
Yeah. One thing I was quite surprised about with this, I thought we would have seen something to do with the Simpsons, because we had a great little Simpsons clip in the investors announcement, and it's very Depp-esque in the way they poke fun at themselves.
Yeah.
That's another thing we didn't get. We didn't get any Deadpool news, which is quite surprising because that is $1 billion franchise, I believe, or near enough there. Yeah, so I suppose we didn't see any of that. But yeah, should we move on to Marvel? Oh, the only other thing in Disney, in Pixar that I didn't talk about because it wasn't in this list is the popcorn shorts. So we're going to get some short kind of like episodes from all our favorite things. So from the Toy Story franchise, and then some others which I can't name, I forgot. But there was a nice panel of about eight different shorts which we should be seeing.
Yeah,
which should be quite nice, and that comes out January 2021. So that is very soon, which will be quite nice.
A couple of days, isn't it? Really?
So now onto the big one, onto Marvel.
Yeah, that's why you're all here. That's probably what you'll skip to.
Very convenient you left to the end. It was just in the article written that way. We didn't do it for attention.
But we are going to do a fully fledged video on Marvel. So if we don't touch on what you want us to talk about, we'll get there. Don't you worry.
So Marvel, where do we start? Secret Invasion is the thing with Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel Jackson. I'm most excited for this. I absolutely love them.
For this.
They were the best part of Captain Marvel. And also the kind of like Easter egg in Spider-Man kind of thought. It was very much, was it an Easter egg or was it not kind of situation? But clearly, apparently it was. So I'm really excited to see that unfold. We're getting Ironheart, which is somehow related to Iron Man. Oh no, that's Armor Wars. It's related to Iron Man because it's
Yeah.
about what would happen to Tony Stark's
Hmm.
tech if it all went wrong.
Yeah.
Ironheart is about a genius inventor. That sounds very Iron Man-esque.
Yeah.
Now the stuff that's actually coming in the next year. So 2021 looks like it's going to be the year of Marvel. There's so much Marvel stuff coming out. Hardly any Star Wars stuff, but loads of Marvel stuff.
Right, let's just run through them. Let's run through the projects, and then let's talk about what we're most excited to see.
WandaVision is coming out in January. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is coming out in March, and Loki's coming out in May, I believe. So in the first half, we're getting 3 full-length Marvel series, followed by What If, which is the weird animated series, which a lot of stars have returned for to do their lines, including Chadwick Boseman. Apparently, had recorded lines for that.
Yeah, he had. Yeah,
but that'll be quite moving to see that kind of happen.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Marvel is also coming out this year. There's so much Marvel stuff. I'm really excited to see that kind of happen.
Well, next year.
I think it's coming out end of this year. It's already been filmed.
It's coming out in a couple of weeks.
At the end of the year. At the end of next year.
So in the next 2 weeks, we're going to get...
No, end of next year. End of next year.
I was going to say...
so end of next year, that's coming out. So we'll get 4 main series and an animated series all next year. So literally every other month we'll be hit by a Marvel series, which is going to be great. I feel like next year is going to be the year where people have Disney Plus as a must-have.
Yeah.
If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a Marvel fan, like you're going to have to get it. And there's going to be no point where you pause your subscription. Yeah. Just gotta leave it running.
Which is what you should be doing, because over the last year, there hasn't been enough to watch on Disney Plus.
Not at all. Hawkeye's filming at the moment. We got confirmation that Haley Steinfeld is going to be playing.
Worst kept secret out of everything in this panel.
There were literally shots of her in her costume 2-3 weeks ago. Clearly, they were waiting for this. So yeah, and Jeremy Renner is also returning. She-Hulk is coming back. Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth are going to be in this series. That makes me excited.
Very excited.
Yeah, that is great. Clearly, Mark Ruffalo is not able to have his own film due to rights issues with distribution. So this is quite a nice little way around it.
Yeah.
Moon Knight is also coming. And the two which I'm most curious about, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I'm so fucking glad that this is a thing that exists.
Yep.
It's going to be great. It's the perfect IP to do it with, and James Gunn is going to absolutely smash this.
To clarify, this isn't an animated Christmas special. This is going to be a Christmas special that they shoot the same time as they're shooting Guardians 3, with all the cast being there. And it's like you said, it's the right property to do this with, 100%.
Like, they can have fun with it. Like, Chris Pratt, obviously, he's going to absolutely smash it. I'm just excited to watch this. Yeah, and then also we're getting an I Am Groot original short series, which I presume will produce lots of memes on the internet. So that is fine.
So everything that we just said, those were TV series or specials. We haven't even touched on the Marvel movies yet.
Yeah, and so much of that's coming out next year. This isn't stuff that's coming out in 2023, 2024, as a lot of this stuff previously has been.
So if you had to pick one project you're most looking forward to out of all the TV Marvel projects, what are you picking?
It wasn't until I saw the trailer, but I'm so excited to see Loki now. Loki just seems to be a whole lot of fun.
It looks wild, and I'm really pumped for that.
WandaVision, I'm not particularly that excited about. I've never been big into those characters. I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff. They've talked about recording in live audiences, but that Loki trailer just looks like it's going to have so much fun by jumping around genres and kind of like weaving into history. Like we see a clip of him jumping up the airplane, which is obviously DB Cooper.
Yeah,
that's quite a nice little.
That made me laugh. I was really funny. I found that really funny.
So yeah, I'm just really excited for that. It's just Tom Hiddleston's going to smash that. So yeah, I'll say Loki. What about you? What are you looking forward to out of all those?
Probably Loki, but Falcon and Winter Soldier looks a lot better than what I was expecting it to. That looks like a lot of fun. And to be honest, WandaVision, I think, looks so unique and crazy that I think I'm probably going to have a lot of fun watching that.
Yeah, I think we were saying while I was watching the live stream that Falcon and the Winter Soldier, out of all those series, that's shot like a film.
Yeah.
Like it's so cinematic, like compared to Miss Marvel and even WandaVision, where it looks very much like it's a TV project.
Yeah.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier looks like it was pulled straight out of a movie. So I'm excited.
The last shot in that trailer was clearly them flexing their muscle. Like, look at the effects that we've got for a streaming show. It looks incredible.
Yeah. So now on to movies.
Here we
Honestly,
go.
there's so much to talk about here. We're getting Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which
Pumped, so excited for that. Probably my favorite property in the Marvel
I
Cinematic
really,
Universe. Yeah, I'm a massive Ant-Man guy. I love those movies.
because I'm not the biggest fan of the Ant-Man films.
You're wrong.
I just find them a bit bland. But the characters are great, so I'm kind of excited to see what they do there.
Hmm.
Very excitingly, Spider-Man director John Watts is doing a Fantastic Four movie,
Which
which
I called on the
you did
video that
call.
nobody else watched, unfortunately. I called that.
We may clip that out when we do a Marvel Stick video because you called it out, and I was like,
You laughed at me.
I did not see that coming at all. But now, like, the probability of that appearing in Spider-Man 3 is so much higher now we know it's
Yeah.
John Watts. The
Mhm.
only sad thing about this will be that they may not be a Spider-Man film for quite a while after the third one, because though that Spider-Man trilogy has been some of my favorite, well, the 2 out of the 3, and I'm sure the third one's going to absolutely be good as well. But
Well, we'll probably get a Spider-Man movie because it belongs to Sony, doesn't it? But it's not like they're going to be part of the universe that we love, unfortunately.
yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Spider-Man IP? But that Fantastic Four is great. Other films which we got confirmed, there's a big list here: Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, um, Eternals, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Wasn't a big fan of Doctor Strange, but the multiverse stuff's going to be really interesting to see how they bring it all together.
Hmm.
We're getting Thor: Love and Thunder, which is Taika Waititi. He's going to. That film is probably one of my most excited films to watch from the films.
Yeah.
Black Panther 2, God knows how they're going to do that. That is also filming mid next year, coming out the year after. So that turnaround
Yeah.
is going to be fascinating to see what they do there.
They announced that they're not going to recast the role, which I think is the right thing to do. I think we'll probably see Michael B. Jordan's character take center stage. Now, I know that he died at the end of Black Panther. Is that right?
Yeah, but does anyone
I
really
can
stay
remember.
dead?
No, of course they don't. But I think that's what we're going to see. And if you got a star like Michael B. Jordan involved, then why wouldn't you? He was close to Chadwick Boseman. I think it's probably going to be the most sentimentally right thing that you can do. I'm glad that they're not stopping making these movies because the character and the universe is so rich that I think there is more to explore, and I'm glad they're not recasting, and it doesn't look like they're going to be doing what they've done with either Paul Walker or Carrie Fisher. They're not going to use existing material or anything like that. At least that's what I believe is what I got from the panel.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see, and also to see whether they talk about any of it in the films leading up to Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of material between now and then, and see whether it gets mentioned in any other films and kind of set it up. We're also getting a Blade film, which I forgot was even happening. Captain Marvel 2, I'm excited to see that. I enjoyed the last Marvel film. I think Captain Marvel's a great character. I think it deserves to be in a better film. And hopefully by that point, it'll be a lot more padded out the universe for her to kind of find her place. I feel like in the last Captain Marvel, they were trying to figure out where she kind of sits in terms of powers, because she's obviously so much more powerful than anyone else.
Yeah.
So hopefully by then they'll kind of figure it out. And then also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is eventually coming after such a long wait. Yeah. So
Out of all those movies, same question again as the TV shows. Which one are you most looking forward to? Of all the new Marvel projects that are officially announced, given what we know about them, what one could you not live with not seeing? Which one do you need in your life?
probably Spider-Man 3, but that wasn't even talked about. But in terms of stuff that's being announced, probably Thor: Love and Thunder. I just absolutely love Thor: Ragnarok. And now Taika Waititi's got the full trust of Marvel and Disney as a whole, really. I'm excited to see what he'll do when he's got complete free reign, because I'm sure in Ragnarok he was held back slightly just by kind of like it. It was a very big departure from the previous Thor films, thank God.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to see where that film goes, to be totally honest.
Okay. See, for me, I think I would normally say Ant-Man, but I do think Doctor Strange with the Multiverse of Madness, I think that is going to tie into what's going to happen with Spider-Man. You can't get the director of the Spider-Man trilogy to direct Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness bearing in mind we're not going to get Tom Holland for too much longer, and not expect something Spider-Man related, I still think we're going to get a glimpse of Fantastic Four, even though the director of Spider-Man 3 is going to direct Fantastic Four. But I think Doctor Strange is going to be a fascinating watch for the future of the MCU.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll get the Fantastic Four introduced via the multiverse, because I don't think anyone is after an origin story of the Fantastic Four.
No.
A bit like, yeah, I just think they'll go straight in and avoid the whole kind of like origin story. The same with Spider-Man as well. Like we never saw Spider-Man's origin story because everyone knows it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same thing is with Fantastic Four. So I hope they just get brought in from another universe, and then we can just go on some adventures with them. I think that's everything. It's ESPN, but we'll skip through that.
Do you know what makes me laugh about all this?
What makes
Just before we started recording, Callum said, we'll make a quick 10-minute video, giving a brief overview of everything that's coming. We are going to go in depth, a more structured video of going for individual properties. So individual studios. So Lucasfilm, Marvel, maybe Pixar, because I think there's a lot to talk about there. We'll do that in the coming weeks. But that's a brief overview of everything that was announced over the 4 hours. It was a incredible panel. I'm less interested in seeing Q&As on panels going forward, because I think this is actually how you deliver it. People were engaged. It was engaging. There wasn't, apart from the 2 10-minute breaks that we had throughout, it was just relentless. And I think it looked clean, and it was a great watch.
Yeah, I think the biggest crime of this whole event was that it wasn't marketed at what it was. It was marketed as it was targeted at investors, when it would have been bigger than any other Comic-Con. You could have put any of these announcements really into a Comic-Con, and that would be headline news. This kind of wasn't publicized it was happening. I remember messaging you, and you were like, I have no idea what this even is.
No idea.
And to be fair, I thought it was just going to be a phone call like we normally do for the investors, where they give you a really bad line, and it's Bob Chapek going, theme parks are making no money, films are making money. But yeah, so yeah.
But one last question for you, Callum. Was this the greatest panel event that we've possibly watched?
Hands down, yes.
Even better than Warner Brothers panel a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God. Literally, you compare the two, and that DC Fandom stuff it looked like trash. And then you see Disney come in, absolutely, yeah, it was just done so well. And I think this is reflected in the markets, not to go much into that, but like they've doubled their production budgets, I think, from 4 billion in 2024 to 9 billion. Like they've doubled how much they're spending. So they are fully committing to all of this.
Yeah.
And to get 9 billion's worth of content in 1 year is going to be absolutely mad. Like, yeah, it's just really exciting to see Disney fully go in. And I think this is another whole video to go into it as well. But it's really interesting to see if streaming is going to be a bubble and if it's going to pop when they realize that these kind of things aren't sustainable. Because Netflix is losing money, Disney Plus is losing money, and I'm just intrigued to see whether we'll continue getting this rate of content, or whether there'll come a point in kind of like 5 or 6 year times where they realize this isn't sustainable. But for the next 5-6 years, we've got an amazing run of content to come out from all these IPs.
In 2025, we'll do an update. Disney Plus cancelled, but no, they've got full faith, I think, in their service. They know they've got all these IPs, all these studios they now own. There's no reason why, other than Netflix and HBO Max, because of Warner Brothers, that other than those three, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Netflix, why people would want anything else. To be honest, and I think the bubble is going to burst, but it's going to burst for the studios. We've already seen one streaming service fall by the wayside this year before it even really picked up, and that was it Quibi? Is that what it's called? Like, that never really picked up, and I think we're going to see more of those fall by the wayside. But this is not going to be one of them anytime soon.
Yeah, like there's Peacock and HBO Max, which are definitely the biggest question marks in terms of streaming service. But Disney Plus is here to stay. With these IPs, I can't imagine anyone that's even into remotely pop culture is not going to subscribe at this point.
No. Well, I guess we'll end it there. Thank you, Callum, for giving that comprehensive breakdown of everything we've got coming. We're going to do more breakdown videos, or videos where we have breakdowns in the next couple of weeks. I've been Brad. This has been Callum. And until next time, we've been the Angry Microwave.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.